Good evening, this is Tommy Lackey, and tonight's Tuesday, July 1st, 2014. I thought we'd take a quick review over the breadth picture, see kind of how things are going as we make our way into new high territory. As many of you know, I write the Strength in Numbers report, and it's found at gtlackey.com, and I just thought we'd do a quick midweek review here. As always, we start with our longest term measure, which is the new high, new low differential. And as we can see, it weakened into the spring and part of the year. However, it never really turned decidedly negative and has recently turned back up and started to expand again. And if we can get above this downtrend line, it looks like that it could be a sign of broader and maybe some longer term strength coming back into the market after we had seen some flat to sideways move over the last few months. Our next long-term measure is the advanced decline line, which, as we can see here, has been leading price now for the last few weeks. Both price and the advanced decline line have retested the breakout point and continue higher, and the last 2 days have really started to accelerate. Now, moving on to the McClellan oscillator and summation index, you can see that the oscillator made a quick or brief run below zero, but now has bounced back strong. And during that, the summation index never really rolled over, and it starts to continue higher. One of the things we have to realize is with this breakout in price here and the way the summation index looks, we cannot rule out another move like we saw over here to where we have a very determined trend, I guess would be the best way to say it, and persistent for a little while longer before we really see a whole lot of weakness. Now, so far, all the measures that we've looked at have pretty broad participation. Now we move to the MA breadth chart. We have 3 different levels: the percent above the 20 SMA, percent above the 50 SMA, and the percent of the 200 SMA. And all 3 levels look really solid here. The 20 SMA pulled back but stayed above the 60% level. The 50% above the 50 SMA, or simple moving average, never really moved out of the top quadrant. And then finally, our percent above the 200 SMA is just now looks like it's about to move back into that top quadrant, which is where you really see a lot of broad strength. If it can stay above there for a little while, you can get good expansion in the markets. So we'll look to see if that happens. It still has a bit to go, but it's certainly something that's showing how broad the participation is, and that bodes well for these markets. Now, an really interesting part to the rally we've seen so far is this chart right here, the percent days chart. And as you can see here, it's been extremely benign since this whole rally started. We've had no 80% days or 90% days to speak of during this whole move higher. That means that neither side is really getting overly excited or pressing too hard. So again, the persistence of this could continue. And of course, the final chart, the breadth thrust, I almost hesitate to even put in here because it's not really making an extreme either way. But one thing I will note is, as you can see, it never really has pulled back much during June, as it had small little retracements, similar to the McClellan oscillator. But again, this shows the strength underlying these markets is pretty solid at this point. Okay, so that gives us a quick overview of how the breadth looks right now. And it really is as strong right now at the moment as the price action looks as well. So it's not something you really want to argue with here, and very rarely are major tops made when the breadth continues to expand like this. We can certainly have a correction, and during the summer malaise that can also happen. If you read my reports, you know I've been talking about that. But we need to wait for the evidence to show that, and right now we do not have the evidence that anything is weakening under the hood. Things are strong and solid, so outside of very short-term and spiky pullbacks until this changes, I think you can continue to work with these markets. Thanks, and have a great evening, and I'll look forward to talking with you on the stream. Bye-bye.